Hello, I'm Dave Ward from CapTrap Studios, and this little tutorial's on the canvas object and how you can use it appropriately to scale to full screen size on devices of any aspect ratio and any size. So I've got a really basic setup here, which is like a scroll with two scroll ends that are going to stay static height, pretty much full height of the screen, and a scroll bit of parchment in the middle, which is going to stretch to fill the space available. So you can throw any aspect ratio at it, and we know what's going to happen every time. You could apply the same principle to a button. Let's say you wanted that button to act like the scroll ends. You can get it to stick to the left-hand side. So it's always going to be there no matter what. You could apply the scroll parchment to text maybe, but I'll let you do that yourself if you want. Okay, just went into a new scene. And we go to create a canvas, and all you've got to do there is go to UI and create any other UI object, like an image. It'll create a canvas object by default as its parent. And the script that we're really interested in is this canvas scaler script. At the moment, by default, it's set up to be a constant pixel size, which means that no matter what aspect ratio, this image that we've created is always going to be 100 by 100 on the screen. It's probably not what you want. What you're looking for instead is for it to scale with screen size. Like here, if you change the width, that UI image is going to scale down appropriately. Now that's because of this reference resolution in combination with a match component. Now the reference resolution on its own is probably not that interesting. It's ideally, how big would you like the screen to be? How big are we pretending the screen is? Here it's set to 800 by 600 by default. I always set that to 2048 by 1536 just because that's the resolution of an iPad Retina. So at the moment, this match slider is matching width, which means that this width here is always going to be 2048. That's what we're saying if we're matching width. So you scale this, you scale this width down, and this 100 by 100 image is going to scale down as well. If you scale the height, that image is going to stay the same size because we are just matching width. So that 2048 will stay the same, but this, that might now be 1,000, might now be 2,000. Yeah. For a landscape game, you're probably going to want to match height, which is going to do the opposite. No matter what your height is, no matter what aspect ratio you throw at it, this height is always 1536, and the width is going to change. It's no longer going to be 2048 all the time. So I prefer to do this in my mobile games because I think it's a lot easier to reason about if you've got a static height and a width that changes. So it's like your canvas only ever scales in one dimension in the width. So if we were to move towards setting up that scroll, the other things you need to know about are the rect transform component and really the anchor component within that. If we were to set up the scroll parchment, the background, we can grab that, set the sprite within the image. There's a number of predefined anchors. If you select this one on the bottom right, what that does is it will anchor the left-hand X side to be completely on the left, and the higher end of the X side to be completely on the right. So 0 and 1, and the same for the Y. So 0, 1. If you then set these values, which are how far away from the edge that we've just defined, and they are, set them all to 0, that's going to stretch to be the full size of the screen. No matter what you throw at it, yeah? If we wanted to get tricky and try it out, we could set this to be the X to be halfway along the screen, the anchor. But I suppose that's not really what we want in this case, but that is how anchors work. They are how far along the X and Y axis as a percentage you want to use as anchor points. So we're probably going to want some insets. Like that for the parchment background. And that's going to stretch properly. Now what we can do is throw on the scroll ends. So if you select the image that we've created, and as a child of that, add another image. We're going to set the anchors this time to be both on the left, so that's the leftmost anchor and the rightmost anchor are clamped to the left end, meaning we could just set a width and set the sprite. The height of the screen is 1536. You set that to that. Like you set it to 1450 or something to give it a bit of a buffer room. If you do the same again, you can copy this time. Clamp this instead to the right hand side. So your leftmost and rightmost anchors are at 1 and 1, which is there on the parent object. We've got a static width and a static height. So no matter what we throw at that, they can be in the same place. Stay in the same size. And that, in the tiniest nutshell, is how you set up a canvas component to scale properly with any aspect ratio, any screen size.